Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Monday, January 24th, 2022. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. You'll notice right here, the ES is already stretching it to the downside here as we head into the RTH Open here on a Monday. One thing we've mentioned here recently is the market structure breakdown here that we're seeing. That failure here at these prior highs when you had support here is suggestive of a move back down to recent market structure support back at these lows. That's about 42.50. The 100% target from the extension up here puts you at about 42.43 half. We still have more downside to get to that point. Additionally, what we've talked about before is based on the yearly high and close of last year, that rejection, as we've mentioned all along, would put you at a target down to the previous year's midpoint. That's still 42.26. You have last year's closing VWAP at 42, just shy of 42.50. This could be a zone right here where we see an initial opportunity for a pop. And if we do not, and price continues to fall below 4,200, that opens up 4,000 down below, and that is a significant CLVN that has not been tested in a very long time. So here's your 4,000 level, and what you'll notice again is that the day it went through was the only day it traded 4,000. Do we need to go all the way down there to grab that 4,000 before we bounce? Right now, again, the next major level ahead, about 4,200, 4,225. At that point, if we don't start to see some sort of bounce off of this area, we could be looking at more downside into that 4,000 CLVN below. So right now, until proven otherwise, very bearish market. We need to see a strong rejection off the lows in order to see some sort of reaction that we can follow. Until then, downtrending price action. Take a look here at the NQ. The NQ right now, very similar price action, and is now inside the LVN that we mentioned before. So NQ is leading to the downside. You see right here that 15.7 market structure breakdown, as we mentioned below, suggested a move down to this low, and we are now through that low here already today. We are now below the previous year's closing value in terms of VWAP. Additionally, if you look at the yearly pivots here, we are now through the previous year's midpoint. That's the 14,487 right here. That's the previous year's midpoint. So based on these PivotBoss pivots, the way that we use them, if price cannot reestablish acceptance back above the previous year's midpoint fairly soon, then we are likely headed down to the previous year's low, which could be 12,207 and a quarter down the road. So again, where are we going to find this support? We need to find some sort of significant rejection and reaction. And right now, if there's a failure, again, to hold the 14.2 level, that's the level right there, that 14.2, 14K. If it can't hold that zone, you start rotating down to the bottom of the prior market distribution. And right now, that could be looking at another 2,000 point decline from where we currently are. All right, let's take a look now at crude oil. Crude oil is seeing quite a bit of selling pressure right now this hour. This hour sold off from 85s and is currently 83.71. One thing you'll notice right here is kind of a higher high. So price took out the previous year's high right there and has pulled back. This morning has started with an a push beyond the previous session's high, and now is back below the previous session's midpoint, which could lead to a bearish outside day down, at least briefly, which means, again, if price can't get back above 84.17s, we're looking to a move to Friday's low of 82.78. Right now, that's a point from where we currently are. So at the moment, failed new high at the previous session's high, which followed a bear signal here, and staying below this midpoint suggests price goes to that low by the end of the day. If we close below that area, we'll have a secondary signal here, which will be a bearish outside day and could be indicative of some degree of pullback toward 80. Now, as we mentioned before, one last thing here. This is one heck of a key range right here. and we could pull back toward 80 or 79, and bulls keep that area bid, we could be looking at targets at 87 and 96 down the road. So even if we pull back toward 80 or 79, watching for signs of rejection for another rotation to the upside. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Right now, Bitcoin down 12%. Big time move here out of Bitcoin. As you recall, a couple of key levels that we talked about before, 40,000 was one of them, and we mentioned if there's a failure to hold 40,000, then we have 30,000 to 29 that's ahead. Excuse me, like you see in the previous year's close, offered tremendously. Previous high, previous midpoint of the years up here, the only level left to test is the previous year's low. That's 28,440. So right now it appears that we are going down through the previous year's low. There is an opportunity to see prices between 25 and 28. At that point, there could be a trap below the previous year's low for a return back up across the board. So at the moment, still seeing weakness here out of Bitcoin, with a shot to see the previous year's low up ahead. Taking a look now at Ether futures. This one's down 19.6% today. A big time push through the 2750s. Right here by the end of the session Friday, well below that level here, sold off throughout the weekend, and here the futures down to 2190. The idea here is if it's going to break 2750, then there's a shot to go down to 1700 down below. That's recent support here. That level had been bid tremendously in the previous year, and right now the likelihood of going down there and grabbing that support is high. One thing here, you'll look at this D-shaped profile as well. Value high, value low, and value. Value taken offered. Value low is right ahead, and once you get to the bottom of this value portion here, that could begin to become a tremendous buying opportunity for a rotation back to value, being 3250, and then perhaps across the range. So how far down do we get? Once we start getting in this slice here, do we start to see rejection, or do we need to go get the previous year's low, which is 1371? Grabbing that low or getting below it would be a huge move from where we currently are, but the snapback could be tremendous back toward value down the road as well. So right now, market structure breakdown with a shot to drop below 2,000 up ahead. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the new week of trading. Keep in mind we do have Fed Chair Powell on deck here with the FOMC meeting and the FOMC meeting minutes, the statement rather, in addition to the federal interest rate decision. That'll be Wednesday, so that'll be another key level that we'll get on Wednesday. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out the rest of the week. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.